It was an emotional day in the Leongatha Mushroom Murder trial. The head of an intensive care unit detailing the final excruciating moments of the victims' lives as doctors fought to save them. When the 4 lunch guests were transferred to Melbourne's Austin Hospital, doctors tried several aggressive treatments in a desperate bid to save them. 2 days after the beef Wellington lunch, Erin Patterson's liver stopped working. By this time, she was too unwell for surgery.
She was on everything we had.
Gail died 2 days later. Heather Wilkinson's decline also rapid. Like her sister, she was too unwell for surgery. Professor Warrilow telling the court it was
very apparent that this was not survivable.
Heather died on the same day as Gail. Meanwhile, doctors feared the worst for Don Patterson.
We were very, very worried about his progress. He was getting worse.
While Don underwent a liver transplant, it wasn't enough.
We had no other treatments to offer, no other therapies. He was dying.
Don died the next day. The only surviving lunch guest, Ian Wilkinson, eventually recovering after almost 2 months in hospital.
We thought he was going to die. He was very close.
Erin Patterson is accused of intentionally poisoning her lunch guests with death cap mushrooms. The defence argues it was a tragic accident. She's pleaded not guilty to all charges. We are live from the lands of the Kulin Nation. Erin Pearson is the Age's crime and justice reporter. She was in the Morwell court today. Erin, this sounds like pretty emotional testimony. What more can you tell us?
That's right. We had Professor Warrilow from the Austin Hospital taking the jury through essentially the final days of life for 3 of the 4 lunch guests. And as part of that, one of the lunch guests, the surviving lunch guest, was present in the courtroom. So there was a lot of tears as the family members who were present in court were listening to some of this evidence. It was quite detailed as they went through a bit of a timeline of when the family members arrived in hospital and their subsequent decline. So there was quite a few teary members. Some of the siblings that were there in support of their father were in tears. One lady in the front row was sobbing and blowing her nose with a handkerchief. And on the other side of the room, we know that's where Erin Patterson sits in the dock. And for part of this evidence, she was also a little bit emotional today.
Well, as you say, the surviving guest, Ian Wilkinson, was there. I mean, how was he?
He was seated in the back row. He had his daughters there and his son-in-law supporting him. He appeared incredibly stoic, to be honest. He was sitting there with his arms crossed and just listening to the evidence as they were detailing not only his wife and other family members' final days, but also what was going on in terms of his medical care. We know that they were working around the clock and doing whatever they could to try and treat the lunch guests. But in Ian Wilkinson's case, we do know that he ultimately survived.
Erin, can you tell us more about the efforts that the doctors went to while trying to save the lives of the 4 lunch guests?
Yeah, we heard when they all arrived at the Austin Hospital, this is over 2 days, we heard that Gail arrived first, followed by her husband Don, and then we had Heather and Ian arrive the second day. So this was the 31st of July 2023 into the 1st of August. And the expert was explaining to the jury that their conditions at that time, all 4 of them, were really rapidly declining. He said it wasn't unusual as well that after some sort of poisoning, such as Amanita mushroom poisoning, that people can start to get a little bit better before they rapidly decline. And that's what happened in this particular case. We know Don Patterson, he underwent a liver transplant the day before he passed away, and there was some significant efforts underway to save the others as well. The professor said they were working tirelessly and around the clock, giving them lots and lots of different treatments, infusions and all sorts of things, even charcoal treatments and alike, to do what they could to save their lives.
Hey, Erin, we're coming to the end of the 4th week of this trial. There's at least another 2 weeks, I believe. Just on a personal level, how are you coping with everything? How are you feeling? How's the stamina?
They're long days, very long days, but they're incredibly important days. These high-profile cases, you can't drop the ball. You've got to be across all the detail and you've got to really connect with what's going on, eyes and ears open at all times. So important, but very, very exhausted, very exhausted.
Erin, thanks again for your time.
Thanks, guys.